Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, Hellions, issue number 11. How are we only on issue number 11 and have so many different incredible stories coming from this when I just saw the first issue and I'm like, this is a pretty damn good book. I hope that it continues to be this good. Thank you. Wishes can come true. I expect to look over next to the fireplace and see a little cane Christmas morning. I'm saying. Let's get talking about this comic book. And yes, there's a little bit of a clickbaity title in the beginning. I already know I'm doing that because I know exactly where I'm going with this. You will too, after I tell you about who made the book. So this is issue 11, Funny Games Part 3, Kill Screen. Zeb Wells does the writing, Stefan Segovia on art. Stefan Segovia also does the cover, but the colors on the cover are by Rain Barretto. Meanwhile, the colors in here are by David Curiel. Ariana Maher from VC does the letters, and the design is Tom Mueller. Jonathan Hickman is currently the head of X at the time of this comic book. So we find out a lot more about what happened in here. This is pretty much going to be the wrap-up story for this current event. Like, it might go on one more issue because it usually goes in bouts of 6, right? Arcs are usually by 6. So issue 11, this ending is kind of weird. So that it might actually go on a little bit more where Psylocke explains what really happened, because she's the only one that's going to be able to recall exactly what happened. This is a group book, a team book, but if I found a flaw in what Wells is doing here, it really feels like it's usually just a Psylocke book. I understand, believe me, I understand the lore, the temptation to do that, because she's an absolutely amazing character, but I wonder if it's a possibility to also get a couple of issues where we're mostly focusing on just one character, just every once in a while. For instance, next issue would be a great issue to do that. Just an issue where we're just dealing with Grey Crow. You know, like, would that be so bad? I don't know. I personally, I don't think so. You know? That being said, really great call out to one of the earlier X-Men issues. What was it? 249, 259, something like that. Whatever, where Wolverine was pinned up on the on that big X cross, right? The multiplication sign looking cross, back in Australia with the Reavers. That was it. In my opinion, that is probably the greatest freaking comic book cover ever, because it's just, you get that and you look at that, you see that, and nobody who saw that didn't buy it. There are people who saw it a week later and like, I'm going to buy it again. You can't not. It's just amazing. So really good homage to that in this comic book with Kwanan. And I totally dug on that. You just keep going. Plus the idea that, yeah, I came out to the desert because it's more of a tactical advantage. By the time these guys get out to me, they're already beaten down by traveling through the desert. So they're weak, so it's easy for me to defeat them. Yes, that's exactly what we do in the military. If we ever have to catch up to you, we'll at least stay out a mile. It was a minimum of a mile, so we could set up a forward HQ. You know what I'm saying? Throw some sandbags up, dig a little, get a couple fighting positions up, and build them up to something better till we actually have a forward operating base. You know. Anyway, and of course, we're also going to have a couple little recon areas, just in case, a little heads up. That's our version of a Spidey sense. You know, we do it with radios. Anyway, everything about this was absolutely fantastic. But I think the point that most people here are going to want to know, besides the idea that it now makes sense, which I was thinking to myself, the only way this could make sense and I'm pretty sure I said it, was if Sinister was actually working with Mastermind. That's the only way I could see this working. It would have been cool if there was also a little comment in here about, oh, yeah, hey, of course you know that your powers would never really work on me because I'm a master level telepath. You know that, right? Even if Mastermind was like, yeah, sure. Even if, it would have been a good enough little tidbit for me, but it is what it is. Something major happened in this book that had better come up later. And I'm not actually talking about Arcade's origin, because that is actually revealed in here. And I'd be really shocked if somebody came up and said, oh, yeah, well, that was actually just a hypnosis trick, or that was, a safeguard that Knucklehead Arcade had went and put into himself in case he ever starts blabbing about his past. It'll be a fake past. No. Mastermind actually Jason Wingard actually went into his brain and started causing to majorly trip, have major hallucinations, and he's talking to his teddy bear in his mind and giving the details of what happened. Apparently, there was a real Miss Locke, because I know that we've had plenty of fake stories before in the X-Men, in the Avengers Academy, Here, like, he actually, at least from what I understand, he genuinely believes that this is the case. And there was apparently a real Miss Locke who he murdered. You know what I'm saying? Holy crap, was that his dad's secretary? Because remember, he's talked before about how he murdered his dad in order to get his dad's money so that he could become an assassin and do it in this amazing way, with the big arcade-looking amusement park death traps and whatnot. So, yeah, imagine that. Dad was cheating on mom, and this is just me talking, this is just hyperbole. Dad was cheating on mom with Miss Locke, his secretary. She caught, and Arcade caught, so he decided to kill Dad and Miss Locke, and maybe killed his mom too for good measure because you were dumb enough to not see it yourself. Or maybe you did see it, and you let it go, and you died because you're weak. Haha, I don't know. But those were some very interesting details right there. I was not expecting to get an Arcade origin story in here, or at least the beginnings of it. Good on you, Zeb Wells. I genuinely hope that more writers, that other writers read this and respect this and respect enough to keep it in continuity. This deserves to be part of canon. I love the idea that this is how we got what I believe is some real Arcade backstory. That's awesome. But no, the thing that needs to come up again later is actually the idea that a mutant killed a human in this. Yeah. Did you guys notice that Jason Wingard said, hey, you person whose family is, being captured also, release me. Don't kill my daughter. Instead, release her. And then I'll forget that you threatened a Wingard. He acted like a tough guy there for a moment. Oh, he's a tough guy in front of humans, right? And we have to assume he's a human. It would be really cheap if somebody later on, even Zeb Wells, turned around and was just like, oh yeah, this guy was another mutant, but he didn't realize he's a mutant. So technically technically he's off. No, this guy was a human. Just get off it, And he ordered his daughter to murder that man for being that gullible fool. Which means that a human was just killed. And only Psylocke knows about this. Sorry, I'm pretty sure that's leverage. That's leverage. Because what happens at the end of this book, look, this is one of those things where I'm going to point out again, a certain incredible figure in the past, Jim Shooter, he said that everything has to have a cause and effect. And if you make a mistake on something, you have to go with it. Jim Shooter didn't expect that, who was it, Bob Hall was going to draw. He expected that, he was going to do exactly what he said, where Hank Pym says, just get away from me, and accidentally bats, Janet Van Dyne in the eye. Well, he had him turn around and freaking give him a full-on, cross, like, boom, just like Cole Clocker, I think it was actually like, boom with the hand, and like the fist was cocked back, like you just bam, backhanded or something like that. And she was, she had to have the glasses on because she had a huge black eye and whatnot. And he was like, it's late to press. I need to just put this out. And then he just went with it and was like, yeah, he's a domestic abuser. Oops. The artist made a mistake. Bob Hall admitted I believe it was Bob Hall. Anyway, the artist in question admitted he made a mistake. Oops. They're still cool. They're still cool with each other. But yeah, Jim Shooter took the flack for that forever. But at the end of the day, he was a grown-up about it. He takes it. And he also says, well, we can't just retcon that. We got to actually go through with it. Yeah, he's now an abuser. So we have to actually do that progressing forward. That's just the way it is, man. Likewise in here. I don't want to hear it. She just murdered a human being in cold blood. Psylocke could probably unlock what Jason Wingard has done to the other Marauder, or to the other Hellions, but she herself will actually remember. She'd be able to recall that, and I'm pretty sure that somebody could, like Jean Grey or somebody could do a mind meld thing, my mind to your mind, could do a mind meld and actually, see, hey, yeah, she's being honest right here. There's no lies in this psychic memory. Maybe Jason Wingard, that's leverage against him, and he's got to admit that Sinister did this, that, and the other thing. But I keep on talking about where the Sinister betrayal is going to come from. I keep on talking that. Remember the Hoxpox books? They said Mr. Sinister did the great betrayal for the X-Men, and that's what wound up turning the cause against the from, you know, the humans and the mutants. It gave a huge lose, a big L to the mutants, and the humans wound up winning. They wound up coming out on top. I'm telling you right now, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Moira saw this happening, right? She's the only one who knows. Well, possibly. No, that would be this timeline. Even she doesn't know. Literally, nobody knows. At this point, nobody knows. Only people from the future timeline know. So we get to see that he now has a secret base that only he and Psylocke, Quanon, know about. Well, technically, Mastermind too. There's so much to unpack here. So many different ways that this can go. As long as Wells is paying attention to the idea that he did all these things, paying attention to all the different ways that he can go with this, bro, I'm telling you, this is a fantastic book. And it shows with every issue. The stories are great. I do wish that more characters were explored in here instead of just Quanon. Just call it the freaking Psylocke book if you need to. But I love the idea that there's so much story in here and it's believable. And as long as we keep with continuity, even just within the pages of this title, it's still going to just prove to continue again and again to be this incredible title. I'm a little weirded out by what happened. I guess she took her money. Okay, so that was actually a doll that had her. Okay, I'm actually just now figuring out what happened. Her Psylocke's consciousness was actually put in this doll, right? That's how come when she said, "Sorry, I have to leave" to Grey Crow, she booked, and all of a sudden that big freaky thing, you know, the thing on the front cover, suddenly shows up because she was actually on lockdown someplace else. That wasn't really her body. She wasn't that old or anything like that. So, okay, good on you. I dig it. I like this. Fantastic comic book as always. Guys, go and check this out. The art in here, spectacular, beautiful, from pencils to inks to the colors. Absolutely, I'm ecstatic. Every time that I see a new one of these books comes out, I'm ecstatic. Yeah, I know. There's an all red comment there, but I'm going to move on. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Like the video, watch an ad. Class dismissed.